I wonder if you could speak maybe broad strokes, big picture for this team as you go towards now free agency, where you think you stand in the Atlantic Division. Obviously, you're facing the Stanley Cup champion, the Stanley Cup runner-up. Florida Panthers have beefed up. Where do you think you fit in that, and what kind of work do you have to do in the next week to beef that up?
Well, I think you mentioned some excellent teams there, Kevin, and then there's also the Boston Bruins as well. So it's a difficult division. We know what we're up against. We're in the same division as Montreal this year. We watched closely Boston and the season they had, and then of course Tampa and Florida. We kind of all were separate this year, but next season it's going to be very challenging and very difficult, and we've got a big task ahead of us here in the coming week to put ourselves in a position to contend with those teams and win the division. That will be our goal right from day one. But it's not going to be an easy season, and it's not going to be an easy road for any of those teams. Everyone will expect to make the playoffs and be in the top three and not in the wild card race. So we've got a lot of work to do, and we've got to be 100% focused right from day one at training camp to put ourselves in a good position throughout the year.
You mentioned targeting forward depth and free agency,
yeah.
adding a different element there.
Perfect. Yeah. So I think what we mean by that is just having greater depth and greater versatility in terms of who can come in and out of the lineup, based on the style of game and the way that they play. Kristen, on the back end, I think, looking ahead to Wednesday in the opening of free agency, we added Zach Bogosian last year in free agency, and that would be the type of player I think that we're looking at, maybe one or two guys like that again. We've also lost some of our veteran depth from the American League last year on the back end, so we'll seek to fill those voids. I think just in terms of penalty killing utility and maybe more of a size and strength element on the back end. Up front, I think it's continuing to find a great identity in the bottom six of our team, and working closely with Sheldon and the coaching staff in terms of what they exactly want there, and then finding the best players that can be able to go in and execute that. So we've come along in that regard, but we're not close to where we want to be. And I think there's a lot of teams in our league that provide instructive examples of where we can take that. But we're just trying to find the best players we can to play depth roles. I think it's a great opportunity here for a free agent to come in either in the top six, playing alongside of John in Austin, or alongside of Kerf and Ilya on the third line, and then throughout the bottom end of the lineup. But I like our group and what's there. We just need to continue to refine it and find a way to push this group over the top.
Kyle, what are the characteristics in the goalie that you're looking to add? Are you looking for a veteran guy to mentor Jack? Are you looking for a young guy to kind of push him? What are the characteristics you're looking for?
Yeah, thanks, Mark. I don't think Jack needs a true mentor at this point. I think he's been through a lot throughout his career. He's got great experience. He's got a great disposition. I think Jack is probably actually more capable of mentoring somebody himself with all his experiences and the type of year he had last year. We're really just looking for the best goalie possible to come in and form as good a tandem as possible, and let them get after it, push each other, support each other, and be the best duo that they can to help our team.
On Thursday, you mentioned that there were moments that this group got passive in the playoffs. Outside of making additions in free agency and trade, what can you as a management group and maybe the player development staff, the coaching staff do to advance that, nudge that, help them get over the hump?
I think, Mark, the answer to that is just talk openly about it. I think when you have big moments in your life, regardless of whether you're an athlete, a writer, or whatever you do, and I think you can go in feeling a bit passive on your heels, trying to feel things out rather than going in and attack it. We've been in those moments now the last 5 seasons, and we've fallen short in those moments. And I think what we need to learn is look to other teams in our league and look to other sports as being instructive for us, and other teams that have gone through this, maybe not as many times as we have and as early in the playoffs as we have, but get on the attack, get on our toes, believe in what we're capable of when we're at our best, which we've shown a lot over time, and just speak openly about it. I think everyone is the noise on the outside is going to be accurate. We've lost in the first round of the playoffs 5 years in a row. We haven't won a playoff series since 2004, and we haven't won the Stanley Cup since 1967. So we can either try to block that out and let the pressure come down, and we can use the pressure to push us forward. And I think talking openly about it and getting after it and attacking that narrative is the best way for us to go about that as a group.
We'll go to Michael Agello. Go ahead, Mike.
Hi, Kyle. You mentioned earlier in the week that lines of communication were open with Freddie, and I think you said Alex Galchenyuk as well. Has there been any communication with Nick Foligno's representatives or Zach Bogosian? And have there been any preliminary talks between you and Pat Brisson on an extension for Morgan Riley?
I think really aside from Hyman, the door is open on all of the free agents there, Mike, to answer that. And there continues to be dialogue with most of them at this point, but the door, I wouldn't say, is closed on any of those players. Nothing really new to add on the Galchenyuk or Anderson front, but there's been communication with the others that you asked about. With regards to Morgan, there's nothing at this point. Our focus has been on the expansion draft, and then on the draft itself, and then on free agency starting here on Wednesday. Once we see what the market bears as it continues to develop, then we'll have a better sample size to be able to open discussions with Morgan.
All right, last one here. We'll go to Chris Johnston with Sportsnet. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, Kyle, we saw a fair bit of player movement in trades the last day or two here. I'm wondering to what extent you were involved in that kind of stuff, or are you just more focused on free agency for making additions to the team?
Throughout the league, Chris?
Yes.
Yeah,
like, were you trying to make a bunch of trades in the last few days, or are you more just thinking ahead to Wednesday?
Yeah, I think the types of trades that we saw were a lot of draft capital trades, of which we aren't flush, and then all of, essentially they were either high cap hit for high cap hit deals, or players that were going to be traded and then signing for high cap hits. So with our situation here, especially right now, it wasn't really something that we could be overly active in, either because of either the lack of picks or because of the fact that we couldn't trade for the players and then sign them for what they were projected to get. So our focus has been on free agency, and then our way of looking at it is if we don't find the players we want in free agency, then we'll loop back to the trade market. We've got our high picks next year in our prospect pool, plus players on our roster that teams are always circling around and asking about. So we'll get to work here on Wednesday or prior to Wednesday and see what's available, and we'll try to use every avenue we can to improve the team.